On today's Toy Spot, continuing along with my reviews of the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited figures, today we're going to be looking at the fastest man alive. We're going to be looking at the Flash. And like I said, this was part of the initial wave. This was the wave that included the display stand. We'll get into that in a second, with that out of the way. The Flash, much like the Superman, the Batman, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, and Martian Manhunter, they all came initially in a 5-point articulated figure. So the Flash, for example, here you could rotate the head, you could rotate the arm, and you could rotate the leg. That's it. That's all you could do. Later released Flashes, however, very similar to the figures I already mentioned, had the additional articulation in both the elbows, in the knees, and also in the waist. And I don't know if I actually commented on the waist when I did the reviews of the other ones, but the only downside, though, and especially with Flash, is that you'll find that these legs, especially with the additional articulated Flashes, you'll find that the legs tend to get really loose, just because the legs are so much thinner. The knees also get really, really loose. This Flash isn't too bad, but I'm sure I could pull out several Flashes that, as you would see, would be extremely loose. Flash really, aside from as soon as they actually got to this Flash, I mean, this Flash with the additional articulation stayed pretty constant. I mean, they reused this mold to death. Surprisingly, though, and this is the interesting part about it, surprisingly enough, even though this body mold has been reused several times with other figures, it has never been reused with the additional articulation. For some reason, they just decided, I guess for a cost-saving measure, they just decided to stay with the 5-point articulated figures for using this mold. One example, actually, of that is this guy right here. And while many of you might say, hey, that's Reverse Flash, or was it Professor Zoom? It is actually not Reverse Flash. This was packaged in... I know it was packaged in with the Justice Lords 3-pack as a alternate universe Flash, which really wasn't the case, because had you seen A Better World, Flash actually was not a Justice Lord. He, for a little spoiler, he actually died. I believe he died, and that was the reason why they became Justice Lords. But so this particular figure, aside really from the fact that I want to get around to painting the eyes black, this figure I really consider as Reverse Flash. I really don't think of this as a repaint of Flash. Really funny, actually, about this mold and this repaint here is that Mattel, in their infinite wisdom, has never released this guy as a Reverse Flash. I don't think they ever have. I mean, really, they could either repackage this guy altogether, just say Reverse Flash down below, or if they really want to go the extra mile, they could just color in his eyes black, maybe give him some red pupils, and boom, you'd have Reverse Flash. But in the meantime, though, until that happens, here you have Reverse Flash right here. So moving these guys aside, and like I said, also as well, the 5-point or the additional 4-pointed articulation, I guess 5 really including the waist, you can see it's much brighter. It's a much brighter red than the much more faded red. This is almost more of a pinky red, whereas this one is much more vibrant. And as well, you can see that the yellow is more of a gold yellow, whereas this is a much, I think you can see a little more yellow, like a greeny yellow. And as well, much like the Superman, the Batman, and I believe the Wonder Woman, their flesh color is much more vibrant on the later released figures. That is not to say, though, that these Flashes, or this basic Flash, is not the way to go. I mean, this Flash actually is pretty nice, and like I said, now that the other Justice League figures are all seem to be released without the articulation, this Flash would have been the smart bet to go with. Not to fear, however, good old Mattel has released, I believe, this Flash once again. The only difference being, and I don't have the set here, the only difference being is that while they've kept the original articulation, which is the elbows or the shoulders, the legs, the head. One thing that they have done, though, is that they've given him a much brighter color scheme. Much more brighter. And actually, if I find the sets, I'll do maybe a review of the sets. I maybe won't talk too much about Flash because I'm doing a review of him here. But you'll see that he's much brighter than this faded Flash. But going to his card here, you can see his display stand says UE. It says the fastest man alive, Justice League. Although I suppose that's still to debate, between him and Superman. And as you can see, he's got his motion card here. Peg it into place, and you can peg the fastest man alive via the little pegs on the little holes on his feet. You can peg the fastest man alive on his display stand, and just like that, you've got Flash on display. I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but with the other Justice League figures, the ones that came with the sets, I will probably just keep these guys on their stands and then just have the entire set together. And then whatever Flashes, I want to have on display, these guys will always be on their own, and then I would have the other Justice Leagues on, with the Flash separate. But needless to say, that was a toy spot on the initial Justice League wave. And we were looking at Flash today. The fastest man alive, we were looking at Flash. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more Justice League reviews along the way. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Later.